Volcano salad. Volcano salad. Oh, well, yeah, I can hear myself.
Okay, it's working. Awesome. So let me just drop this and
Volcano salad. Oh, well, yeah, I can hear myself.
okay, you can turn it down now. Blast out my eardrums.
I'm working on it, but I pushed it off the thing it was on. Just give me a break. There's a lot of stuff in front of it. I'm working with stuff.
Okay, so now when people join the stream, they will see that message I pinned. So whomever join, which I don't think there'll be many, uh, they'll see that at the top of the screen. So hopefully they take that cautiously. All right, you ready to start?
I guess.
All right.
I'm not ready to start. Give me 2 seconds, please.
Okay.
Should have known this was gonna happen.
All right, guys, give us like 5 minutes, and then we'll get the show on the road. Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't have the headphones on for that one. Alright, I'm back. Sorry.
That's okay. All right. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So, figured might as well just do an introduction. So, okay. In 3, 2, 1. All right, everybody. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Aftercast. I am Saber, and we are joined with.
Starfire.
All right, we got Starfire here. So basically, what we're doing is, we're gonna talk about the episodes that, or not the episodes, the events that happened in the second episode of Loki. So consider this a spoiler warning because we're going to be talking about some of the events that happened, what our thoughts were, just kind of deep diving into what we possibly might think is going to happen and just kind of theorizing everything in between. So, what should we start off with first?
How about the beginning?
Okay. So, what were some of your thoughts from the beginning?
Started off a little off. I got really confused at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool how they jump backwards, but um You know, it's just it, it's not what I was expecting. I guess I should start that first because it kind of caught me off guard with everything that did happen and the fact that he was just able to swap bodies like they did. And
Yeah, that was a little surprising.
I was like, whoa. But it really did kind of set the tone um, uh, for the future, which sounds really corny, I know. But yeah, it was really cool to see that. And I don't think that's ever been done before either. At least not to my knowledge. But it was really cool. Um, let's see. I
What I
really
don't
couldn't.
understand is why they don't think that they're going into a trap. They just automatically walk into that tent like nothing's gonna be in there.
Right.
Am I wrong?
And no, 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 no. I kind of had the same thing because they knew where the variant was at in the first place, and so it's like you would think they would be more cautious. I mean, they did spread out to cover a larger area, but at the same time, you would think you would have had more people. I mean, you knew what you were dealing with. You were dealing with the god of mischief. So you would think having more than, say, 5 people, I can't remember the official count, but you would have more
Right.
than 5 people if you knew what you were going up against because you know this guy is a master of trickery. So I would have probably sent in a whole freaking fleet, but that's just me.
And that scene where he touches her and turns her into, I don't even know what to call it. Because at that point, she's not Loki, she's just a piece of him. And then she goes and destroys her crewmates. But he's also there.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. So that, and this will kind of touch on the ending as well, but we're not there yet, so give us a minute. So basically, what he's doing is body swapping. So when he touched her, he went into her and took over her mind.
But, right. But she went after that one person, and he was right behind him and did something. But she was still in front of him and she hadn't fallen over yet. So he couldn't have given her everything.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. I'm. I didn't think of that because. Well, we'll get to the ending in a little bit, but yeah, because like I said, it's kind of hard to. It's kind of hard to talk about some stuff without going to the ending. Well, actually, no, we can talk about that because this is a spoiler thing. Um, so
Right?
in the end, they get to the hurricane and they go through the the future
Portal.
Walmart, and and nobody's in there. But when they were
Random
walking
people.
right when they were walking through, I'm like, oh, the variant's in here somewhere. And I'm thinking
Hmm.
as they come up on this one guy, I'm sitting there thinking, no, no way, no, there's no way that. And then he touched her, and he got the ceremonial knockout, I guess you can call it. He passes out, right? So uh, he then goes into the conscience of the other chick, and he starts talking and all this stuff. And while I'm sitting here watching this, I'm like, oh, so that's what they did in the tent. But now that you brought up that he was still there, huh?
Well, I like when she asked, do you think that could be you? And
Oh,
he goes, I don't want to assume anything, but yes. And then she walked right up to him
right.
and got touched.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of them shows that I think next week I'm gonna have to watch it twice because
If not more.
it's one of those shows that you can watch and just learn new stuff about. But
Well, it helps when
um
you're watching it with other people.
right, especially people
The
who
whole
are
jet ski thing
the what?
that came out of the blue. The jet ski conversation,
Yeah.
that was just like out of the blue. That pamphlet on your desk. Oh, about the jet skis. That
Yeah.
apparently nobody uses then
I,
because they're a thing of the 1990s.
um I you know I really love this show, and I was a bit skeptical, you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was. I was like, that one was kind of cool, but you
See,
know,
I'd never seen that one.
right.
I never watched it.
Um, I mean, it was okay, but when you have WandaVision and you have that whole entire, you know, and I'm gonna try to keep it clean, cluster
Mm.
truck. When you
Mm-hmm.
have this whole entire idea, just what it was, and the amount of I want to see what happens next, and they always leave you wanting more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have this big story arc, and it ends really cool. And then you have Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then you have Loki. So when you have kind of a somewhat of a mediocre show in between two really good shows,
So, is there an order to this? Why they went Wanda and the Winter Soldier and then Loki, or is it just randomly put out there?
no, nothing Marvel ever does is random. Um, I've come to learn that. But like, and I apologize to people who are listening to this in the future because I'm going off track here. But you know, to me, it feels like WandaVision was the first thing to come out of the post Thanos snap because, or at least it's the second snap where everybody comes back. Um, and it, I realized that all of this is post Thanos snap and how everybody's rebuilding a new world. And again, I know I'm getting off track here, but I forgot what my point was. um, I'm not good at podcasts, so I'm just winging it here. But so with Loki, it was really cool to have this idea of the TVA that they're really the ones behind everything, and if something breaks from the general timeline, they're there to stop it. And the thing that I'm really curious about, and this is kind of talking to the future of the series, my first kind of theory is that first episode where they talk about, um, you know, once the correction has been made, they reset the timeline and he goes back to where he was
Mm-hmm.
at the time that the infraction occurred, right?
Right.
So I know you haven't seen any of the other actual Marvel movies, correct?
Right.
Okay. So there's something I wanted to talk about. So the apocalypse thing and the whole salad thing. Um, um, man, that all that guy wanted to do was eat his salad.
Yeah, not after whatever it is he poured on me. You mean I could do with the pepper and salt,
I think it was
but not
apple
the
juice,
liquid?
actually.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not
He's
sure what kind of salad it was either, but it could have been something funky.
he's like, just give him his salad, man. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but as he's talking about Ragnarok, that was actually from, and yes, I realize anybody who's listening to this already knows this, but this is for people who don't watch these movies. So Ragnarok is based out of Thor Ragnarok, which um, basically, long story short, this giant tower of fire and lava destroys Thor's homeworld. So when they mention the destruction of Asgard as being an apocalyptic event, that is what they're referring to. And it's cool to see them tying in uh, the timeline like that.
Well, it would make sense to have something from the past in the future, right?
Yeah,
If I said that right. It
yeah. Back to the Future.
was a
You
good
know,
movie.
um,
Okay, so we're gonna get back to Loki.
right. Okay.
When
Yeah,
he's
this.
sitting there at when he's sitting there at the desk at the beginning, looking at the jet ski book, and that
Oh
little
yeah.
computer thing is standing on the desk, and he starts whacking it with the magazine.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you alive or are you recording? Oh, I'm both. What?
Right? So
Oh.
she's jumping around the desk, and then she jumps back into the computer. What?
Um. Yeah. I thought my favorite scene out of the whole thing, besides the actual ending itself, was the Pompeii thing. Let, let,
Right?
let's have a conversation about that, shall we?
Sure.
The fact that he went out of his way to specifically point that one out and say, "Oh, you guys are all gonna die."
Right?
What was the hard part about being subtle and not changing the events of history? What you know?
Well, like Loki said, y'all gonna die anyway.
Yeah.
I still don't understand how that didn't disrupt the whole timeline, though.
Well, technically they were gonna die anyway, so really, he wouldn't have been able to change that. They were all gonna die by volcano anyway, but he just made it
Because
funnier.
it was a natural disaster.
Right. And um
And the
let's see.
speaking a different language, has he always done that, or is that just something happened that here at this point?
Oh, I don't know.
Because he did it so fluently. He went from speaking English to speaking whatever language that was, because I'm not even sure what it was,
Right.
and then flipped back to English. I said that right, didn't I? Future? It sounded good.
Yeah, he's more sarcastic, and that's what I really like about Loki because I don't know, this whole entire study of he he's really a vulnerable character, but he plays it off like he's the baddest of the bad, you know, and it's just really cool because you've only seen one side of him this whole time, and then you see the softer side of he, it's almost like life was a big joke almost.
Right.
He thought he was being the villain, but really he was just masking all this pain and the guilt of having his own mother killed by his own deed. He was the one that
Mm-hmm.
caused that. Um, and yes, again, we're getting off track here, but that's my fault. Uh,
It
so
happens a
I
lot.
know because I didn't plan anything. I should have wrote it down like I told you to do.
I didn't write anything down.
I
I'm going
didn't.
through it as we speak. It's on my other
Um.
screen.
Oh, good. I'm over here trying to recall it from memory. No,
No, I can't do that. I'm not that good.
oh, I should have brought that up. Okay, next week, that's what I'm gonna do. Um, should bring my laptop in here. Um, okay, so since you have it pulled up, it's your turn to I'll let you host this thing
No,
because
thank you.
um okay, so the other thing I want to talk about is the actual ending itself. Yep, sorry for just bumping my microphone there. Um that was a crazy
Starting.
ending. You what?
So, what do you think the girl that he kidnapped at the beginning, because, he took her through the little portal,
Right.
um, what do you think she was trying to say? Besides, she'd given away the location. She was
Oh,
trying to say
that
something
one.
else before she
Right.
said, I gave them the location.
I thought she said it's too real.
Well, I couldn't understand if it was real or too real.
Because if you remember right, he can body switch. So he probably body switched into somebody else to extract that information, and then the guy just whoosh, which is why she was saying it's too real. It's too real. It was real. It was
Right.
real because she thought she was talking to another person, and that dude just automatically collapsed.
Good point.
You know. Um, but I thought it was even funnier. Speaking of the ending, when they get to the actual um, the futuristic Walmart, um, and he's going through body after body, and he's like, "Well, what should I call you?" He goes,
Randy.
"You can call me Randy."
I was kind of hoping he was going to say Chad.
Mm. Nope, nope. This is not the time for that. Um, okay, fine. My name's not Chad. Anyway, um, sorry about that. So yeah, that's a long running joke on this channel. So anyway, um,
So, did you really think he was going to go through or not?
yeah, I saw the hesitation, but I'm like, oh no, he's going through. He's absolutely going through.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. Because he is a master of trickery, and this brings me back to the beginning. At first, when she got touched, I thought originally like he was like mind controlling her, kind of like a robot. The whole passing of the conscience thing didn't quite occur until we got to the end. And I'm thinking
Mm-hmm.
that originally he didn't pass on the conscience. I'm thinking that he actually went and possessed her, for lack of a better word, while he, as a distraction so he could go away.
I never thought of that.
He was still there, but he got away quickly because they were fighting the strongest person on their team besides Loki. And because he
Right.
is the master of trickery, it would not put it past him to cause a distraction to escape out the back.
Hmm.
But the thing I'm wondering is where did they go? Because he dragged her through the time portal. That's what I'm curious of. Why did he drag her with him?
Because she knew the location. She must have been really high up on the chain if she already knew the location.
No, no, no. No, that wasn't the same person though. That was a different person.
Hmm.
At least I think it is.
I don't
I'm gonna have to go watch that again. Like I said,
know.
I'm doing this all from watching it once, like 4.5 hours ago.
Okay, so, um, Loki's chasing Loki, right?
Right.
When she took off the cloak at the end, it wasn't Loki.
Right. That's the other thing I want to talk about because if you paid attention, they said the variants weren't exactly like Loki. They were kind of like copy versions of Loki. That's why one of them he looked like the Hulk. One of them
Right.
he did that. Um,
And
so
then
it's
Loki went into this whole difference between this one and that one.
exactly. So my thought is it is a variant of him, but it is a variant of him, just maybe in the future somehow
Mm,
because it is a fugitive version of him. Let
yeah.
me see. Let me see if I can explain this. Uh,
Don't hurt yourself.
right. I watched Inception. I think I can handle this. You would think. Um, so I don't even know where to begin because it totally is possible to have a female version. Oh, you know what? Okay, it's like Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. Okay, I know you probably never watched that movie either. I realize that, but in that movie, there's multiple versions of Spider-Man, and one of them is a pig.
What?
Yes, Spider Ham. There's a pig that got bit by a radioactive spider, and it's turned into a talking spider pig. So, taking that theory of,
I think
okay,
I heard crazier. But anyway.
so taking that theory, it is totally possible to have a Loki from a different, like, universe colliding
Mm-hmm.
because it is one timeline,
Yeah.
but it doesn't say what
Yeah.
timeline it is from. So it could be a timeline where Loki was a female and it interacted with the present timeline. Like the future comes into the present timeline,
Right.
but you don't know what timeline that girl is from. Not that really any of that matters, but that's just my thought. I go into way too much detail. Um, so yeah, I'm really curious where they went and what they're gonna do now because
Hey Cody, don't fall.
as it is right now, he's free to a degree.
To a degree.
He went and essentially escaped, but there was a moment of hesitation of should I do this? There was that
Yeah.
moment of should I really do this? And he went with his instinct and went with her.
My thing is, I think they went to the location, but then that would be too fast unless they only plan on making 4 episodes, or they're just
No,
gonna drag it out.
I think I don't know. But with Marvel, there's always a reason. There's always little things that you don't think are a big deal and then they blow it up out of proportion and it's a giant deal. They make a seed out of everything and then blow it up at the last minute. Like they did with WandaVision.
Right.
And I mean, WandaVision was amazing, but again, we're not talking about that. Um, well, actually, they did say, or it, no, not it. Hold on. So there was mention of, oh crap, I just lost it. Hold on, it'll come back to me. Nope, it's gone. Um,
It'll come back when you're sleeping.
okay, what was I saying before this?
You want me to remember what you were saying after everything we just talked about?
Yes. What was the last thing I said?
Well, the last thing I remember you said, where you were talking about how he was a she from the future that collided with the present. I don't know. Now I'm confused. Thank you.
Crap, I had a point and I just lost my whole entire argument.
It was
Um,
very sharp. It went right through.
yeah, right. Um, well, that kind of puts a halt to this conversation. Okay, let's just move on. So what do you want to talk about next?
What do you think's gonna happen in next week's episode?
Ooh. Oh, I gotta think on that one for a minute.
What is his name? Morbius?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right? I think he's gonna be in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think whatever happens in next week's episode is gonna redeem him somehow, and Loki's not gonna be the person that they think he's being. Does that make sense?
Right. I don't know. I think that's too easy of a way out. I think they're gonna be
Well,
trying
there's gonna
to
be twists and turns. It's not gonna be straight up.
right, but I think now it's gonna turn into a manhunt to find where he went in the timeline. And
Yeah, but now that they've got two of them, they're gonna have to wonder if it's the right one.
exactly, and they could turn this into a giant like a ultimatum of, well, who's the real Loki? I could totally see that
Hmm.
happening.
They could also turn this into a multi-seasonal thing too if they did it right. They won't, but you know what I mean.
Nah, I don't think they would because you can only drag one storyline so far, and I don't know. It's kind of hard because um, I feel like these Disney Plus shows are just kind of epilogues to. Okay, let me explain it this way. So Loki died at the end, or at the beginning of Infinity War, right? He got his neck crushed. Well, hold on. I just had that thought come back that I was trying to remember earlier. Hold on. Dang it! It lost me again. Okay, so I'm gonna get there eventually. So help me. So he got his neck snapped, and in Endgame, they went back in time to 2012. He found the Tesseract and jettisoned out of there, right? Well,
Hmm.
like I said about earlier about him going back to the exact same part that he was at the end of the series, because all of this is technically the future. Everything after Avengers up until Infinity War is the future that hasn't happened. So you're seeing the bridge between um, the first Avengers and the beginning of Infinity War. All the Marvel movies between now and then have yet to happen because technically you're still in 2012.
Oh.
So all of these future events have not happened yet. At least that's my take on it. I may be thinking way too much into this.
Yes, because you put lots of thoughts into little things.
I do. You know what? You can blame it on Breaking Bad.
Never seen it.
Yeah, I know.
Honestly, I could never get into it. Not that I didn't try, because I did.
It's a slow burn for sure, but if you can stick with it, man, that last season just it was so good. But now thanks to that show, I pay attention to every little detail. Um, but yeah, I don't know because um, it could go either way. I mean, the other thing that I just thought of is, you know, they may, like I said, this is all speculation. I, obviously don't know anything about the future of the show, but in my mind, I could totally see this being like a like Loki and the variant of Loki having their own journey throughout this whole show, and then have like
Trying to beat each other.
right, they're trying to beat each other and up each other up, um, in terms of antics or whatever. But
Yeah.
I can also see it being a manhunt for the TVA as well. And I could totally see them cutting back and forth between these two. It's like, oh, hey, you mess with Pompeii. Let's go over and mess with this thing over here. Or, oh, you think that's cool? You should see what I can do over here. And they
Right,
constantly
and they'll
try to
really
warn.
screw up the timeline.
Exactly. And they almost broke the timeline at the very end. Did you
Mm-hmm.
catch that? It started
Mm-hmm.
arcing in several different directions. And that's the other thing I want to know is where on earth did those time reset bombs drop to?
I think everybody else is wondering the same thing.
Because they just started going whoop, and they went through these random portals. And I'm wondering if Loki and his buddy, or not his buddy, his past self, whatever, his secondary self is what I'll start calling it because I don't want to call it future self or past self. Um, if they don't go on a hunt to try and find these reset grenades and use them for different purposes,
Mm-hmm.
what if they tried to reshape history and took these grenades and reset things to how they wanted it to be? Because it resets it back to a certain point. But who's to say they're not going to reset it and shape it the way they want to, regardless of what the TVA wants? I could totally see this being a rogue reset a certain event and then shape it and destroy it to their liking and mold a whole new timeline.
Well, anything's possible when you screw with the timeline, or
But if they
history, for that matter.
right, and I think the more they screw up, the more the TVA is going to be on their butts.
Rose mist is on my bed. We're gonna have to cut it.
All right, guys. So, hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and we will be back next week, and we'll see if our predictions are right. Thank you guys for watching, and